Let's say if you go to the interview and then the interviewer asks you something, hey, I saw this in your resume. Can you talk more about it? You'll be like, did I talk about that?
I'm giving it a boost. Can you please try it? You can do it. See, look at that.
Ooh, ooh.
Give it a boost, it'll do it.
Oh, motivation. I'm not great at coding, but I felt like I can use code interpreter for a lot of this amazing stuff. Hey everyone, welcome to our podcast, Everything Product. In this podcast, we talk about product management concepts and the latest technical insights and updates that we have been seeing around. I'm Srinath. I work as a product manager for JP Morgan.
Hello, everybody. This is Sid Saladi. I'm a product manager working for Best Buy.
Awesome. So I know there is a AI revolution going around. I know every week, every day, we see a lot of exciting AI updates revolving, and we three were been following especially on the AI updates, and have been fascinated with some of the latest launches like Code Interpreter, some of the Chat GPT plugins, and some of the stuff that Google has been doing. We thought we'll share our learnings and demo for our viewers, so our viewers can play around and become more and more efficient in their work. So with that being said, I'll want to get started with one of the popular launch that the OpenAI did. That's Code Interpreter within ChatGPT. So I'll let Sidhu talk about briefly about it and also demo for our viewers, so everyone can learn from it. Sidhu, do you want to take it over?
Yeah. So they have launched it like 2 weeks back, and very excited. I've been playing around with it, and it's almost like your data analyst for doing analysis, right? So I've used it for couple of use cases. I've actually given it my newsletter data and asked it for growth opportunities, and it's amazing the work, the amount of stuff it does with it, right? So it actually takes in the data, writes a Python code to analyze the data, cleans the data, and if there are any errors or anything that has to be filled, it fills in all the details and it actually creates another table, and then creates the necessary graphs you could look at. Also gives you growth opportunities and a plan for growth opportunities. That exciting, right? So this is almost 1 or 2 weeks worth of work that you have to get to in getting all of these analysis done and identifying any growth areas. And also I think it's amazing, and it kind of cuts all the amount of work which we have to do and gets you to a point where it actually you add value, right? Instead of you cleansing data, putting things together and spending time in there, you actually spend on the analysis and where you're absolutely needed.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, that was one of the fascinating things which I have recently explored. I'm not great at coding, but I felt like I can basically use code interpreter for a lot of this amazing stuff.
Also, one other
Yep.
thing, right? Like the product team working behind all of this, right? I'm assuming it's not a big team, but they're churning out feature after feature. So we have seen plugin store, and also initially the plugins were just a list of plugins which we can play around with. Now I think they have installed plugins, most popular ones, sortable plugins, and they also now get in code interpreter. They have, like, I think, custom messages which we can fix in. They have like also private mode or incognito mode. So I think the rate at which the features are being pumped out is also good to see.
Their agile model seems to be perfect.
Yeah.
All right, let's dive into the code interpreter more details. Sidhu, I know you have played with it and you have some awesome, interesting insights that you want to share with our viewers so they can play around.
So
Do you want to share your screen? Oh,
yeah,
cool.
sharing my screen.
It's
So
coming.
let's try to do two use cases here. The first use cases, we'll give it a set of data and ask it to give us some growth opportunities and do some analysis, data analysis. So the data set here is Uber rideshare data in Austin, some city in Texas. So we are giving it, so this is a free database that is available which you could download online. So we are giving it that data and asking it to do some analysis there. Let's quickly try that now. Okay, here is the data set. I've added the file here, and let's give it a prompt. So I tried typing some of these prompts beforehand, but basically is asking like, I will give you some rideshare data for a city. Can you perform data analysis and suggest me some growth opportunities and a plan for each opportunity? Let's see what it does. So it's absolutely, I can help you analyze the data. So it's working on, right? So if anybody's wondering what it's actually doing, it's writing a Python code to grab the data, analyze the data, and see it. So it's essentially has a layer of Python libraries which it's putting together to do the analysis for us. So we don't need to know what is behind, right? We just prompt it to do whatever the work we wanted to do for us. So it goes in, right? It starts analyzing and reading the data. You see that it also finds irregularities in the data. It says that there is null, there is not data in some of the columns. So what it does is it basically tries to cleanse the data, as we were talking about before. So it's also converting and renaming all the data format so that it's easy for it to do the analysis. It's doing all of this stuff, right? So it's also saying that we have data, and it's saying we are dividing it by a day, month, and all of that. And it says data column has been converted to data format, so it's converting formats also so that it's easy. The first row after the header seems to have metadata rather than actual data. Some columns have unnamed header, so I think it's also cleaning. Let's clean it up. So it's almost like an uh, uh, talking to us like a human, right? Which say like, this is not good, let's change this, let's change that, let's make this better. And again, it's doing the analysis, right? It there are some other issues it found. So you can observe that it's also going on a loop. You need not continuously ask to do it something. You have given it a task, and it keeps creating more tasks to achieve the task which you have given, like which is the final goal. Then it says, right, these are all the different data sets or the data columns which you have given. And now, so it also gives a graph which I didn't ask it to give me, but it does it to me, so to show it how it visually appears.
Yeah.
Now, right, like it actually gave me two graphs, and it was looking at the over growth rate over time, and it's now like, let's compare the number of rides between this and so on. So, and note that all of this values may not be available on a everyday basis. I'll say continue, right?
So one thing which I also observed here is, and I mean, why I experienced myself is, we have to be very good in creating that prompts to get the right level
Yeah,
of
yeah.
insight, right, Sidhu? So how do you come up with the best prompts that can help derive the best insights?
Yeah, so it's like, right, chat gpt is as the result is as good as your prompt. So the better the prompting you give, the better the result is. So normally, right, like there is also a term called prompt engineering, and people are charging like thousands of dollars for taking courses to write prompts to get better results out of ChatGPT. But I follow a basic template, right? So it is a template with three different segments on it. First, you ask it to do it, you give it a task, like what you want it to do. Then you basically give it a persona. Either the persona you want it to be, you can ask it to be a data analyst, or you can give a persona which you are catering that information towards. And the third is you give a set of conditions. You could say, this is your input data, and this is how the output should look like. So once you give all of these three things, you give it a very, very good set of conditions to give the results which you want. So that's the format which I would follow. It's continuing the process again, right? Like we see the number of rides per day, and it also highlights what's the growth in the weekends. uh, and it gives, like, based on the analysis, here are some potential growth opportunities. Focus on weekends, improve weekday opportunities, seasonal trends, and address anomalies. So this is all, it's giving, and I think it's also giving you certain set of uh, uh, strategy on how you could concentrate on all of these growth opportunities.
One
Yeah,
thing
we
which I
could.
really liked about this is, it's not only telling the result, but also telling how they get the result. Like
Yeah.
writing the Python script, giving more details into that. Not just saying, oh, this is your clean data, but this is what we are doing to clean up the data, and this is your result. which is pretty informative, right? Like for anyone probably who is not an expert in the data science or data engineering, this is pretty helpful.
Yeah, even right for me, if it gives just the growth plan, I wouldn't understand what its thought process was. Now I understand like what it is thinking through, what data it is considering, and how good that analysis is, right? Let's also maybe do a follow-up prompt. I'll say that, okay, I'm a product manager for this region and I want to maybe create a dashboard with very important metrics which I have to keep track of. Let's see what it does. And this is amazing, right? So sometimes it feels like uh, I feel old because there were days where I had to wait days and days for some people to do data analysis for me. Write SQL queries. Now it's like in just in front of you.
That
Yeah,
is true.
that is true. And I think as a product managers, we all have to look into a lot of data, right? Sometimes we rely on BI teams. I know that we cannot upload our data within Chat GPT because of all the confidentiality, but at least this will give us the way to approach and make it more self-service.
Once it gets integrated, we'll be able to give all the data as well, right? Yep.
Yeah, I hope so. But in many of the organizations currently, it's blocked. At least in my organization, we cannot use all these.
I was just searching like what is code interpreter? Like how is OpenAI telling it, right? So the definition that they are giving for it is it's an AI chatbot that uses natural language processing to create human-like dialogue. I could clearly see that. So whatever analysis it has been doing, it has been giving that human-like dialogue. Hey, I've been doing this, I've been doing this, I've been doing this, etc. That's nice.
Yeah. So,
Yep.
when I asked for a dashboard, it's giving me all of these metrics are important metrics and I can look at, and I think it's a good starting point, right? Daily rides, weekly rides, weekend versus weekday rides, growth rate, rolling average, anomalies, day of the week trends. Maybe let's ask it to put everything into a dashboard, also add some graphs and create a file for us. We'll see if it does that or no. Sure, I can generate a Excel file is what it's
Wow.
saying.
Oh,
And we have discussed this a lot, right? Like even funny, you keep saying, data is like the bread and butter of every product manager. So, now it's like 10x improvement in the way we work on data, right? So we can have all of this just in, seconds.
Yep. True, true.
So it created a dashboard.
don't tell me it already created a template for you with all the metrics.
Yeah, can you see my screen?
Oh God.
Look at that, man. See, even putting all of these things together would take a lot of time. See, now it actually has everything sorted out, and it has adding data graph, and I can work on it more. I can say, hey, I don't like this graph. Can you add like a particular graph, and can you also sort it by so and so week or something like that? It does it for me, right? Everything is almost done, and I can download it as a file. It's awesome.
Yeah,
Would
this is
save like
amazing.
crazy amount of time. Yeah.
Yeah. Should we just move on to the next use case?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay,
I know we
perfect.
could do it.
It by so and so week or something like that. It does it for me, right? Everything is almost done, and I can download it as a file. This is awesome.
Yeah,
Would
this is
save like
amazing.
crazy amount of time. Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Sidhu, can you
hmm,
ask one question? Ask it to
okay.
create a slide deck as if you're presenting it to the leadership.
I was like, and you're a product manager.
Hmm.
I can't directly create PowerPoint, but it's actually giving me slide one, slide two, introduction, brief intro, description, data, daily trends, weekly trends. Man, that's like too much data in too many slides, but key
Is it
findings, growth
limited to a
opportunities.
PowerPoint presentation or?
No, I think it only does Excel as of now, Excel and
Oh,
Word. I'm assuming they'll definitely add more and more as people start using it, right?
That's true. Yep. And
Yeah,
Yeah.
this in
this
itself
is a
is
good
nice.
start.
Yeah,
Yeah,
this will
this
this
is
will be a
a
good
pretty good
start.
start.
Cool. So yeah, let's move on to the next use case. So last week we are talking about resumes, right? So I was like trying to play around and see like how can a code interpreter help us with resumes. So what I did was I downloaded a generic resume online, tried to give it to code interpreter, and then add a job description and tried to basically I asked it to change the resume that is customized to that job description, and let's play around and see how it behaves with that. So that's the sum pm. For anybody who's trying it out, make sure it doesn't create false data. It's it's sometimes it can also create a lot of false data, so please mention that. Just adapt your resume to make it more appealing for that hiring manager for the specific job description, rather than create something which you have not worked before. Disclaimer. Yeah, Srinath, go ahead.
No, I was just saying, I know a lot of our viewers are watching. Please do not upload any of your company or organization's data to ChatGPT and do this analysis. Just this is for your personal gig. I mean, that's all confidential information. So please be aware of that.
So yeah, let's pick one job, chief product officer. We are basically tailoring product manager's resume to a product officer's job description.
And that's also good, right? Because the moment you asked for something, it understood, analyzed it. It was like, hey, you didn't give me something. Like, can you give me more details about that?
And nowadays I'm actually calling it buddy, dude. So it says thank you for providing me the resume and description, and it basically analyzes like, okay, a resume header has so and so. So instead of AIPM, can you consider this like senior product leader AI health? And it also suggests professional summary changes. Make sure you highlight your leadership experience, strategic abilities, and familiarity with both edtech and healthcare. So this is an example. Okay.
Does it actually create a document?
Yeah, it creates it.
So it creates an updated resume.
Yeah.
Oh,
I'm sure Srinath might be thinking now, I wish I knew this when I was applying for jobs at Chase.
So like
exactly.
every day,
I had
50
to spend
jobs
ton of
applying.
ton of time. I had to spend a ton of time. I mean, crafting resumes specific to job descriptions.
Yeah, it's a lot of time, right? You have to spend customizing it for the job description.
Not just that. Honestly, when I think about job descriptions, right? Some teams actually focus on creating the right one, but all the others just try to give something generic. So if you have to keep on
Yep.
modifying, it takes like a lot of time for no random reason.
Yeah,
See,
that's
it
true.
basically has created something, right? And you
Is
are
this the
able to
same format that you
also
gave?
download. Yeah, I think I've given a similar format. Let me open it up. Can I not
Because
download it?
if it can actually adapt to the same resume format and give the new data, like whoa.
It saves
Yeah.
probably days of work.
So this is what I have given it, and this is what it generated. So it's okay. Experience, education. Yeah, it's at a high level, but I think it.
Actually, can you ask it to give me in the same format that I gave you? Let's see what it will say.
Okay, let's do it. A lot of windows.
Good and a bad thing, Sidhu. Let's see if you go to the interview and then the interviewer asks you something. Hey, I saw this in your resume. Can you talk more about it? You'll be like, did I talk about that?
Yeah, that's why we mentioned, in the starting prompt itself, like, please don't create something that is not true. Just adapt what. I know what is already existing, right? So
I still doubt it using the exact same thing. I'm sure
uh,
it'll add things, modify things, and make it. Um, I can say better, but I'm sure it'll be adding stuff there.
I've created a okay. It created a updated document. Let's see how what it does. Oh, it actually created the created it in a similar format, man.
Oh, is it? Go back, go up.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I think it's little close, right?
Format, yeah, little close. But even the I think the format which I have downloaded it is not straightforward. It's a very fancy format, but I bet if you do it in a plain text file, it should adapt to some of the format which you have given.
I mean, one good thing here is at least I can use the text and just copy paste it rather
Yeah, yeah,
than
yeah,
starting from scratch. Even if it's not
yeah,
giving the exact same format, it could be like down the line, but the text would still be helpful.
yeah. Cool. So, should we try any other use cases?
I was curious if we upload a doc. I mean, I'm sure as a product managers, we have to read a lot of docs, right? And sometimes you don't have enough time, and probably you just need some key takeaways from the doc. Can we
Okay.
do something like that?
We can do it through link reader. Should we use a plugin or do you want to do it like this?
I don't think code
I mean,
interpreter does it.
You can upload a file and ask it to summarize. Should we search for a research paper?
Do one thing.
research.
Search for the first Bitcoin research paper. Um,
Bitcoin white paper.
yeah, Bitcoin white paper, and see what it will interpret.
Okay.
Yeah,
Uh, like what prompt should I give it? Can you can you
summarize
Summarize
this white paper.
top 10. Yeah.
analyze this and give me a summary of 5 bullets that I can to my fire, which I don't have one, but just for the sake of the prompt. It's working. Let's see, man. I'm also curious what it does. Looks like it's using Python code to like open up the PDF, right? And count the number of pages, range. Okay. It seems like a text extraction and the PDF didn't work perfectly. The extraction text is not readable and is filled with special characters.
Oh.
However, I still can help summarizing the document if you are able to provide the brief description or key points from it. Like, why would I even provide it and ask it to summarize my
Uh,
points?
No, I think
Can you
what is
please
it's a
your
try?
old one, right? It's
Yeah,
an
it's.
old PDF, right? Maybe that's the thing. Or
I'm
do
like
one thing, Sidhu.
I'm giving it a boost. Can you please try it? You can do it.
Can you give one of your latest newsletters and see what it will do? Do you
Okay.
have it in your document or PDF?
See, look at that.
Ooh, ooh.
The extraction, like when you give it a boost, it'll do it.
oh, it needs motivation.
So it says, okay, digital Bitcoin is like a digital money that you can use to buy things online. That's good. Just like how you pass a toy to a friend directly without needing to go through a teacher, Bitcoin lets you send money directly to each other without needing a bank. Great. Bitcoin uses special math puzzles called digital signatures to make sure the money is safe and the only owner can spend it. That's also awesome. But there's a tricky problem. We need to make sure that no one can spend the same Bitcoin. So that's the Bitcoin problem, right? So just like you can't give the same toys, Bitcoin has clever way to solve the problem, which is mining validators
Hmm.
to make sure everyone agrees on who owns which Bitcoin. All transactions are written down in a big digital ledger, uh, kind of like a school
Blockchain.
attendance list that everyone can see and agree. I mean, this
I'm
surprises
really
me every
impressed
time,
with
man.
this. I'm sure a
Yeah,
lot of people don't have like unlimited time, right? Especially when they're reading big dogs. I think that's, I mean, not company stuff, but their personal stuff.
Even I think sometimes, right, when you're doing market analysis, like I remember we go to multiple data spaces, right, research papers, trying to understand what the space is and all of that stuff. I was thinking in the future you could actually give him a list of like 10 or 20 top research on that specific field and ask it to say, like, can I build some problem or product here, or can you identify the top problems or help me with certain things. I think I'll bet it'll do it for you.
Yep. All right. I know this is a great demo. Yeah. Thanks, Sidhu, for showing this. Thanks, everyone, for watching the amazing demos that Sidhu shared.
Thanks everybody.
Thank you.